Hello again, everybody, back with another video. This one I'm calling Vaxxed versus Unvaxxed, and this is about positive test distribution in England. And this video really is courtesy of the new UK Health Security Agency, and they're producing weekly COVID-19 vaccine surveillance reports. So this is for week 42. And you can download it from this website. You can see it's official government website, and I've downloaded weeks 42 and now weeks 43. I'm covering week 42 at the moment, but I'll talk about week 43 afterwards. So this is the document. So this is the front page. So this is the surveillance report for week 42. I've downloaded the whole one, but I've just put in the key page here, which is page 13, week 42, and it covers COVID-19 cases by vaccination status between week 38 and week 41 of 2021. So it's got all the totals here, and it's got the level of vaccination and the number of cases. And right at the end, the most important are these two columns here, because there's far more people vaccinated than unvaccinated, but this actually normalises the data. So it looks at the rates of positive tests, they call them cases, of persons vaccinated with 2 doses per 100,000 of vaccinated people. And this one is the rate among persons not vaccinated per 100,000 people. And this is the data that I have extracted and put into an Excel spreadsheet. Now, before I go on, the numbers and cases and positive tests, and deaths all seem to fit whichever narrative it is at the time. But when they produce data that contradicts blatantly the kind of policies they're pushing, and the biggest policy is that vaccines reduce or prevent transmission of the so-called disease, and that is the basis that they're pushing vaccine passports to allow only the vaccinated people to do certain things that everybody used to be able to do, and kind of trying to punish the unvaccinated. Well, it's probably a coercion tool more than anything. But these are the figures. So you can see here, it got age ranges starting from the under 18s going up to the over 80s, and it's got the various rates. So there is one big anomaly here, and that is the under 18 vaccinated, non-vaccinated rates, which are really high. Now, proportionally, there's very, very small amount of vaccinated people in that age group. So potentially that could be skewed, or it could just be trying to push the fact that children are spreading it and they need to vax children. But we'll look at that in more detail later. So I've produced an Excel spreadsheet with exactly the same figures in, and I've just put them into the spreadsheet here. So this is the data that I was referring to in those two boxes previously. Okay, so these are the totals. So this is the total all, and this is the total for 18 plus. And I'll look at these, rather than talk about this, I'll put them into graphical form for you so you can see. And this is the other spreadsheet I'm using, where I've taken out the under 18s figure and just looking at the people who are mainly affected by things like vaccine passports, and where the majority of people are probably vaccinated. So this is the positive test per 100,000 people in the vaccinated and unvaxxed. So the orange, sorry about using Masonic orange there, these are the rates among people not vaccinated, and the blues are the vaccinated. So if we look at the under 18s, here's this massive kind of anomaly, which seems really strange to me, considering the other age range. This seems very, very suspect. But if you look at this, the 18 to 29s, the rates among non-vaccinated is higher, but then we get to 30 to 39, the rates in the vaccinated are higher, 40 to 49, much higher, more than twice, 50 to 59 double, 60 to 69 double, and double for the 70 to 79 year range, and this one is probably very similar to the over 80s. So you can see that overall in this age range the overall distribution is there's more actual people in the vaccinated population that are testing positive than in the non-vaccinated. So it's more a kind of pandemic of the vaccinated rather than the unvaccinated, according to that. Now, if we look at that in total, bear in mind we've got that really high 3,000 figure in the under 18s, it's still overall around 50-50, unvaccinated to vaccinated. So again, why do you need to to segregate these people so that they can do things with vaccine passports when roughly equal numbers on each side? It makes no sense to take any action at all. And if we take the under 18s out and only look at the 18 pluses, then you can see the rates amongst the vaccinated people is much, much higher for most of the age ranges, apart from the 18 to 29, where, what's that, about 470, and this is about 610, something like that. But you can see that overall there's more positive tests in the vaccinated than the non-vaccinated, and this shows you exactly that. So we've got unvaccinated here, positive tests, and vaccinated here, and the difference is 1.64. so there's 1.64 more cases in the vaccinated than in the unvaccinated, according to their government figures. And I think Boris basically underpins that data by saying what he's about to say next.
So the message is that the boosters are fantastic. I mean, the levels of protection are really very high, but it's also very, very important that you get one, because the double vaccination provides a lot of protection against serious illness and death, but it doesn't protect you against catching the disease, and it doesn't protect you against passing it on. So now is the time to get your booster.
So, what's the impact of that data? Well, it shows the proportion of positive tests, officially called cases, in the fully vaccinated population of England in the aged 18 plus group is 1.6 times greater than the unvaccinated population. So more infection in the over 18s vaccinated than the unvaccinated. Or you could put that fully vaccinated people aged 18 and above are 1.6 times on average more likely to test positive than the unvaccinated aged 18 plus. So on that basis, the vaccination passports and the sacking of care home workers for not getting vaccinated. I know a close friend of mine who works in admin in a care home, and she's on gardening leave and will be out of a job officially very soon. It makes no scientific or statistical sense at all. So why is it being done? And I'm confident that similar data could be generated for all countries around the world, because we're talking about the same bug, we're talking about the same life form, we're talking about human beings, and we're talking about the same vaccines, across the world. So is the Vax Pass about health, or is it coercion to get the vax? Shouldn't it, if you were applying this kind of nonsensical logic, shouldn't it actually be an unvaxxed pass based on the figures that I've given there? Now, let's have a look, just a quick look at what's going on around the world in terms of the governments pushing the vax passports.
The one thing that really seems to keep a lid on rising infections is your vaccination rate. So it isn't just about the people having boosters, although that's going to be absolutely crucial with winter coming up. It's more about tackling those people who haven't had a vaccine at all. And how are we going to incentivize them? Psychologically, it's a bit like parenting. You have to start taking away freedoms. You have to start putting some kind of punishment in place. You can't have your chocolate bar until you've eaten your broccoli. You are not allowed to go to a gig, to go to a restaurant, to go to a hairdresser. Oh my, I need to go to a hairdresser. But you're not allowed to go to a hairdresser unless you've had a vaccine.
If you make the judgment to not get vaccinated and you reckon you can wait out us or the publican or whoever you want to think you're waiting out, you won't wait out the virus, because the virus will be here for a long time, and your only protection against it is being vaccinated. This will be well into 2022, well and truly into 2022. Then we're going to get into booster issues, so it won't be your first and second dose, it'll be have you had your third? And then the other issue will be, well, who knows what variant's coming? Who knows?
Cabinet has decided today that vaccinations will be mandated for everyone who works in any workplace where a vaccine certificate is required for entry. In the new COVID-19 protection framework, this includes hospitality, events, gyms, and close proximity businesses such as hairdressers and barbers. With the new traffic light system, businesses that we previously treated as high risk, like hospitality, hairdressers and gyms, can operate at all levels if they ask customers for a vaccine certificate. And so it follows that if customers must be vaccinated, then so too must the workers.
So you basically said this is going to be like, well, it's almost like, you probably don't see it like this, the two different classes of people. If you're vaccinated or if you're unvaccinated, you have all these rights. If you are vaccinated...
That is what it is, so yep.
Can you describe this? You were previously hoping not to have to do that, I guess, when we still looked like we could maintain elimination across the whole country. I guess that has now changed because...
I think it was less because necessarily of the elimination determining that, and more because we, of course, maintained, and actually we have managed very high vaccination rates generally without the use of certificates. But actually what it's become clear to me is that they're not just a tool to drive up vaccines, they're a tool for confidence. People who have been vaccinated will want to know that they're around other vaccinated people. They want to know that they're in a safe environment. It is a way that we can give confidence to those who are going back into hospitality or events. And so that is something that I think we should offer to people who have been vaccinated, that confidence that we're doing everything we can to keep them safe and that they can come back out and start enjoying those things safely.
Today, our health commissioner issuing an order requiring all city workers to be vaccinated. This will apply to all the agencies that are not covered yet, and we want to move quickly. Obviously, we've given people a lot of time, first in the voluntary phase, then in the vaccinate or test phase. It's time to keep moving. So for the vast majority of the workforce not yet vaccinated, the deadline is 5 p.m. on Friday, October 29th. There is a small group of uniformed correction officers who will have a different deadline, and in that case, it will be for December 1st, and that's because of the particular issues we're facing on Rikers Island. But every single city employee not yet vaccinated will be held to the same standard ultimately. If you're a city worker, you need to be vaccinated. We are here to keep you safe so you can keep everyone else safe. We need you to keep everyone around you in the workplace safe. We need you to make sure that people who you encounter, the people of this city, the residents of this city, are safe.
The requirement in the care system at the moment that you are, that's right, that you are vaccinated. In the NHS, we are thinking of doing the same thing. What we saw with the care sector is that when we announced the policy and then we set it in law, November the 11th is the sort of cut-off date, then we saw many more people come forward and do the right thing and get vaccinated. And that's what I hope, that if we do the same thing with the NHS, we will see. Remember, people in the NHS and care were rightly offered vaccines right at the start when we first had vaccines. So if they haven't got vaccinated by now, then then there is an issue there about patient safety.
So there they all are, mandating vaccines, mandating vaccine passes, talking about safety and patient safety, and That must relate to the people who are not vaccinated being the super spreaders, putting everybody else at risk. But if the vaccine is very, very effective at protecting people from death and hospitalisation, why worry? Surely the unvaccinated people are less of a risk because there's a lower concentration of COVID amongst them. I don't know how that can be, but according to their figures, and we have to go by the official figures, that's the case. Okay, so what about week 43? Well, here's week 43. Yeah, so there is something missing. Those two useful columns that give you the infection rate per 100,000 for the vaxxed and the unvaxxed has gone. And I'll show you that because this is week 42 and that is the box that's missing, so that now actually only give you this data. So there's no way you can work this out from this data. So you just have to ask, because I'm not the only one reporting on this. There's been quite a few videos made. Why has that really, really useful scientific data gone? Why? I will leave it there. So thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Goodbye.